These are my Premier League 2025-26 early predictions. We'll be talking about who will get relegated, who will win the Premier League, get into the top 5, and who will be a surprise package. Let's start off with the relegated teams. I don't want to be easy and just say Burnley, Leeds United and Sunderland will go straight back down. I look at Burnley, they were far more pragmatic last season with Scott Parker. I feel that they're not going to get beat as easy as they did with Vincent Kompany. Sunderland, what a huge football club to come back into the Premier League. Ellen Road as well, Leeds United, that is a fortress. So there's a lot of quality. There's enough assets with these clubs if they can get it right, where they could have a go, where they can be a little bit more direct and try and stay in the Premier League. I am concerned. I think Sunderland would be the weakest of the three. They obviously came through the playoffs. They beat Sheffield United, maybe underdogs. I think Sheffield United got a far better side, more experience in the Premier League. Look at someone like Chris Wilder as the manager as well. And even then, I think they'd struggle to get to stay in the Premier League. So Sunderland have got their work cut out for them, particularly if they lose Jobe Bellingham. Leeds United as well. I mean, if they sacked Daniel Farke, it would be harsh. He's done his job. He's gotten Leeds into the Premier League. If they were to sack him, it might be the most ruthless thing ever, but it might actually keep them ultimately in the Premier League. I'm going to give you three sides that could get relegated that isn't the three that I've just mentioned, but I ultimately do fear that it will be. I just look at the gulf in quality between the actual sides. I mean, Sunderland have got an atmosphere that Brentford will never be able to have, Bournemouth will never be able to have, but Bournemouth have got Justin Cliver, who's played European football at the highest level, international footballers throughout the side. They just sold a centre-back to Real Madrid. I mean, there is a massive gulf in quality, but let's just do it anyway. Brentford could get relegated next season. I'm going to say it. It's not likely. They've got a fantastic setup. They've got a fantastic manager. What if they lose Thomas Frank and Mbeumo in the same summer? I'm not saying that's likely. Of course not. They're linked to Kelleher from Liverpool today, which is an unbelievable transfer. But let's just say they lose Mbeumo and Vissa in the same summer and they can't find the quality to replace them. It's a big if. I'm not saying it's likely. Again, it's not more likely than just Sunderland getting relegated, but Brentford maybe could have a wobble. They were good this season. They've had two of their players who are standout players in the Premier League. I'm just saying, what if they lose them? I have to throw questions out there. Wolverhampton Wanderers, they had a wobble this season. Obviously sacked Gary O'Neill. What if they lose Larson? What if Pereira goes? You never know with Wolves. It always feels like there's a little bit of turnover in the squad. Obviously they've lost Cunha as well. Again, I still think Wolves have got too much quality to get relegated, really. If they're looking at Sunderland's side, they're looking at Burnley's side, but you never know. And then the third one will be Brighton. It's a very, very left field shout. I'm a huge fan of Hertzler. I'm a huge fan of Matoma and Rutter. What if they lose a couple of these players? What if some of the form that I did see for Brighton at points this season, where they got battered a couple of times, I'm thinking of that Forest result, a couple of times. What if that just materialises into 3 months of struggle and Hertzler gets it a little bit wrong? I don't think it's going to happen. It's not likely. But if anyone were to get relegated, I'm just throwing names into the hat, which is a sad state of affairs because ultimately Burnley and Leeds United got 100 points. 40 years ago, they would have competed for the Premier League. Seriously, Nottingham Forest did that when they got promoted with Brian Clough. Surprise package very quickly. No one talks about Everton. They obviously stayed up this season. They avoided a relegation battle. David Moyes came in for Sean Dyche. But with the new stadium, the new ownership, there could be a wave of optimism, a new stadium bounce. And David Moyes is such an underrated manager. If he gets a couple of players through the door, you look at Ndai, you look at Decore, they've got a fantastic side. Still Jordan Pickford. I mean, he pulled off an unbelievable save against Newcastle United final day. That was a big win, an underrated win for them. They've got the spine to have a go to get into that kind of Bournemouth, Brighton, kind of Nottingham Forest position potentially next season. Those are my surprise packages. Let's do the top 5. I think just outside the top 5 will be Aston Villa again. I look at what Leicester City did where they came 5th in back-to-back seasons. They were so frustrated to miss out on Champions League football. Their squad wasn't quite good enough, wasn't quite deep enough. A talented manager in Brendan Rodgers, but they just weren't able to get there. Maybe the FA Cup win was a nice moment for Brendan Rodgers in that period of time, but he never got them into the Champions League after they were a few years prior with Ranieri and Craig Shakespeare. So ultimately, I think Aston Villa being in the Europa League this season will be a massive weight on the squad. I think they're going to struggle to attract the top tier talent. I'm sure they'll get a few big names through the door. They might even lose one or two because Europa League football versus the Champions League is a big difference, particularly ahead of a World Cup year as well. I feel like Villa are going to come 6th again. I'm not entirely sure about the coefficient. I think Chelsea will come 5th again. I still think they've got so much work to do in the side that I think they're going to come 5th because I think they're a little bit away from the other 4 that I'm going to mention. They still need a keeper. They still need a striker. I think they need 2 wingers. I'm not a massive fan of Madueke. I'm not a massive fan of Neto. I think Caicedo, Palmer, fantastic players. Colwill, I mean, they need a new centre-back. Probably need a new right-back to come in with Reece James. I don't think Chelsea are going to be higher than 5th, maybe 4th, but in that kind of bracket. I don't think they're going to go for a title push next season. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Above them is a group of 4 that I think are a gulf away from everyone else. Newcastle United, Arsenal, City and Liverpool in no particular order until I get there. I think Newcastle United, there are stranger things that have happened, that if they get their transfers right, if they keep hold of Isaac, which I think is likely, Tonali maybe stays for another season even though he's linked to Italy, Bruno G, hard players to get rid of. Eddie Howe stays. They bring in a couple of players for 150 million quid. You know, three or four players, that kind of margin. Gordon, Pope, Barnes, Livramento stays. These guys could be going for a Premier League title push. Now, I think ultimately they'll drop down a little bit because of the other sides. But I think there could be, if we're really lucky next season, a 4-way Premier League title race. I'm not saying it's likely, and it might end by January next year, but I think Newcastle actually could have an outside shout of pushing to win the Premier League. And how many times do we say it about people that win the League Cup gives them experience to go on and win the Premier League? Jose Mourinho's first trophy in England, Pep Guardiola's first trophy in England, Eddie Howe's first trophy as a manager. It's not in the same season as the other managers that I've just said, but it could give them a bit of experience to go on and compete with Liverpool in the league, compete with Arsenal in the league, 2 of which they've smashed in the League Cup. I think Newcastle will come 4th. But it's a tight 4th. It's a really tight 4th. In 3rd, I think it will be Arsenal. I know they've come 2nd this season, 10 points off Liverpool. It felt really like a margin of 25 points. I mean, it just felt like it was a massive gap. They were never really in touching distance. And because of that gap earlier in the season, they were able to catch up a little bit when Liverpool took their foot off the gas. I think Arsenal could part ways with Arteta. They could part ways with serious talent as well going into that World Cup. Saka. I think Rice will stay because he's a big money transfer in. But Saliba and Saka, these guys will be looking at Real Madrid, Barcelona and Manchester City and Bayern Munich. These kind of big clubs coming in. Seriously, especially if they quarterfinals of the Champions League again next season. No FA Cup semi-final, final. League Cup semi-final, final. I think they'll be struggling. I think they could come 3rd. But these are my early predictions. If they go and get Gyökeres, they go and get an extra midfielder. Zubimendi, I like a lot as well. I think they're going to come 3rd. It's going to be a title race between Liverpool and Manchester City. Right now, I think Man City are going to come 2nd. I think there's a lot of work that still needs to happen. Edison could be replaced. We don't know about the new keeper coming in from Porto. The right-back situation, Kyle Walker's been the best Premier League right-back in the last 10 years. He's out the door. Obviously, that's happened this season. But if you can't get Livramento and you can't guarantee talent, you know, a Kanji at right back, John Stones at right back, it still feels like this is 2023. Until I see a top right back and left back coming in, I still think there are issues in the fullback area. Again, with the keeper, we don't know about Rodri's injury. We don't know about the replacement for De Bruyne. I'm a big fan of Marmoush. We don't know about Phil Foden's record. Obviously, scored 7 goals in the league last season. There's too many gaps between Liverpool and Manchester City right now. Now, if a couple of big players come in, like big players come in, I wish that was Florian Wirtz, which doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Then maybe we're in a different kind of debate. Maybe Van Dijk had joined Bayern Munich. Maybe Salah had gone to Real Madrid. Neither of which is obviously going to happen right now. Frimpong's coming in to replace Trent straight away. Mamardashvili's coming in to challenge Alisson. I think Liverpool are going to win the Premier League next season. I think they're going to be pushed on by what could have been in the League Cup final, what could have been in the Champions League, what could have been in terms of maybe a higher points total in the Premier League. It feels like a platform season for Arne Slot. It was his first season in charge. He's going to have a few more signings. He barely spent any money. It'll be a leaner squad. I think Nunes will be out the door. Maybe Gakpo's out the door. I'm not saying those are the right signings to leave Liverpool, but it'll be more of Arne Slot, and it'll be the second phase of Arne Slot. And I feel that it could be a far stronger, more coherent side that can go deeper in multiple competitions, particularly if you're signing big names already in the early part of the transfer window. Salah gets you 25 goals a season. It's almost like a gimme that Liverpool at least finish second next season. I just think, unless I see more from Rodri, Haaland, if I knew what was happening with Jack Grealish, it was closer. More players were in their prime years. Bernardo Silva might be out the door. Gundogan might be out the door. Nico hasn't quite worked necessarily. I still think he's a fantastic talent. We don't know about Marmoush, where he's going to play with Haaland. There's too many question marks for Man City to make up the difference. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that Man City win it next season. I'm very much hoping so. But Liverpool have just got an ease of which they can start the Premier League. They might win their first 8 in a row because their side's just ready to go. No international tournament. And Man City still have a lot of work to do, even with what is Manchester City? Is it a 4-3-3-11? Is it 3-4-3? We don't know. It's changed so much in the last few weeks with Guardiola. We just don't know. So, and the FA Cup was a bad way to end the season as well. Liverpool, you'd argue, finished on a big high. The parades were fantastic. So there we go. I think Liverpool are going to win the Premier League next season. Outside shout of top scorer, I think Gyökeres. I rate Gyökeres a lot higher than people give him credit for, because I play for Coventry, or he's playing in the Portuguese league. If he hits it and he comes to Arsenal and they feed balls into him, he could be a 30-goal season striker in the Premier League. He really could. I think Salah will get the golden boot again. But it could be, if it was an outside shout, Gyökeres as well. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with my picks? Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you very, very soon.